この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Thanks, random sponsor lady, but it's actually my job to tell people that this video is sponsored and approved by Naruto Online.
この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Okay, no, you're not listening to me. You're not even including all the information we need to include anyway. You know, like, this is a pretty fun online game based on the Naruto universe that's free to play. It's even officially licensed, for God's sake. Do you not know that we need to include all that?
この番組はご覧のスポンサーの
Nobody even understands who you are anymore anyway. Who doesn't love a good fight? I don't care if you're an adrenaline junkie or a tree-loving hippie, there's something cathartic about seeing two or more people beat the ever-loving shit out of each other on screen. And anime has produced some pretty great fights in its history. So with the plethora and huge variety of anime fights out there, I'm sure it's pretty easy to find decent videos covering anime fights on YouTube. Oh hey look, it's another top 10 anime fights on YouTube, my favorite fucking kind of content! Wow, I wonder what kind of insight and effort goes into making one of these videos. Oh man, this video fucking sucks. Let's spice this up a little bit. Let me just get a little bit of that, a little bit of that. Yeah, that's more like it. Now I just gotta add some effects. Oh yeah, this is so much better. So here's what I'm gonna do today. I want to highlight a number of great fights in anime that have stood out to me over the years. This isn't a top list or even necessarily the best fights in anime, but scenes that highlight one really great thing that anime can do in fight scenes and breaking down what really makes them stand out from other fights. I like the part where the guy hits the other guy in the face. But I know doing a video about anime fights on YouTube will attract the vocal teenage demographic, wondering why I haven't put Edgy Kirito Fight 279 anywhere on here, so I'll do my best to make sure that this video is as least edgy as possible. Let's start things off with the purest combat there can be, just a good old fist fight. Two people going at it with nothing but the tools they were given by God. And there have been plenty of great examples of that in anime. The first fight in Taboo Tattoo was pretty decent, Makishima against Kogami in Psycho Pass, and hell, even the Monogatari series had some good ones in them. But if we're talking the best directed, choreographed, and smoothly animated fist fight, I still can't think of a better example than Spike vs Vincent in Cowboy Bebop the movie. Specifically both the train scene and the end tower fight. This is the work of legendary animator Yutaka Nakamura, and get used to that name because you're going to be hearing it a lot this video, that showcases, in my opinion, the best animated fist fight completely grounded in reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes, sorry. What makes these fights so great is a combination of brilliant choreography, direction, and choice of location. With the train scene in particular being a very interesting place for a fight, as the space is so tight, you can see the compact movement being emphasized as they make use of what little space there is around them to gain the upper hand. It's a far cry of what I like to call the Dragon Ball Z location change, where you have two combatants about to fight being like, look, I'm angry and I really want to punch you in the fucking face, but first, let's go to some really big desolate open field that's probably really hard to find, but luckily it's just in my backyard, yeah? And let's talk about the choreography. Spike's fighting style is supposed to be based on Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do, and you can totally feel it in the choreography from the way he bounces mimicking the legend himself, to Spike's fluid movements and combos that Lee was so famous to emphasize over Vincent's rougher and more rugged fighting style. All that's missing is Lee's signature noises and you have yourself his next unreleased masterpiece. The way these scenes are shot also highly resemble the way live action martial arts scenes are shot in Asia, with minimal camera movement as opposed to the close-up shaky cam, which only complements the choreography and overall makes it feel more like you're watching a Hong Kong action flick than you are an animated fight, which is why I can't think of a better example of hand-to-hand combat in anime aside from this one. Alright, realism is great and all, but sometimes you just want to see some over-the-top, balls-to-the-wall spectacle with laser beams that can destroy planets, fights that surpass the speed of light, and people getting thrown through 20 buildings with nothing more than a minor concussion. If there's a place for that, it's definitely anime, and I'm sure our first exposure to this was seeing the fights on Dragon Ball Z, but there's so much more I would never be able to list them all. Bleach, One Piece, Yu Yu Hakusho, Furikuri, Boku no Hero, JoJo's, and we can't talk about over-the-top fight scenes without talking of Imaishi's work in Kill la Kill and Gurren Lagann, but the one that trumps all of these on pure spectacle alone is Saitama vs Boros from One Punch Man. Now, the reason I chose this fight in particular, and the reason it stands out so much, is because yeah! I apologise, that was very unprofessional of me. Here on the Anime Zone, I'm trying to do my best to break down why these scenes work so well, so I promise I won't get emotionally involved in the future when analysing the fights. So, as I was saying, the one thing that this fight showcases better than any other... Hold on a second, are they playing the opening song right now? One thing this fight showcases better than any other fight in anime I've seen is this. fun. It's impossible not to watch this entire fight without a massive smile on your face, because unlike with other epic clashes, you don't really feel any real sense of threat at all. There is never any doubt that Saitama is going to win, since even though he seems a bit more serious than usual, the scene never portrays him like he's in any immediate danger. I mean, he's fucking moonwalking his way into the action, for God's sakes. Normally this lack of urgency would kill a fight scene, but all of Saitama's fights, especially this one, manages to capture spectacle so incredibly well, and shows us that sometimes it's okay to just have fun and marvel at these spectacular events happening on screen. As the fight plays out, it keeps one-upping itself to stupid proportions, to the point where Saitama gets blasted to the fucking moon and he's like, yeah, okay, I guess I'm on the fucking moon. And you can't help but get sucked in, even if you know that everything that's happening is absolutely ridiculous. And that's the charm of it. Similar to scenes like the final fight in Kung Fu Hustle, we get so caught up with the ridiculous nature that we just end up cheering along with it. But even Kung Fu Hustle never manages to reach the intensity that this fight does, thanks to the spectacular animation portraying the absolute power and force of the fight, for which you can thank animators like Arifumi Imai and Yutaka Nakamura. Again. As opposed to the Bebop fight, which was so impressive because it felt like live action, a spectacle like this only works so well because it's animated. As everything is drawn, it helps maintain our suspension of disbelief when something stupid happens like, a guy getting kicked so hard he flies to the fucking moon. But the animation also helps add to the intensity of it. The trailing lights to imply the speeds that they are moving, the exaggerated movements on every impact, the particle effects. All these techniques help increase the power of everything happening on screen while still making the action easy to follow. I mean, just look at this one kick and tell me the same amount of intensity can be achieved anywhere else. By comparison, similar live action sequences look kind of tame or laughably silly. There's nothing about this fight that isn't incredibly fun, no matter how many times I watch it. So if you want to sum up everything I just said, it basically just boils down to... Of course, any good fights are great spectacles and all, but they can be so much more than that. Actions can speak louder than words, and a fight is no different. A lot of the time, the story behind the punches is more important than the punches themselves, and the fights that really stick with us are the ones where we are invested in the emotions and story of what's happening on screen. If we're talking fights that tell a great story, I can think of Gon's first epic standoff with Hisoka, Gohan's iconic fight with Cell, and pretty much every final showdown in One Piece is so chocked full of emotion that it makes every fight great and memorable, even if they can be pretty average from a technical standpoint. But honestly, one of the best examples I've ever seen of this comes from Naruto and Sasuke's final bout in Naruto Shippuden. Whoa! Are you being serious here? A Naruto fight and a Shippuden one, no less? What are we, 13 again, Giga? Alright, just stick with me here. Yes, I know we all stopped watching Naruto years ago, so hands up who missed this fight that starts in episode 476. Oh, Giga, what do you mean it was only episode 476? I almost made it that far. I can easily catch up. Alright, I don't blame you for missing this fight. But what makes this fight so great isn't the spectacle of it all like previous Naruto fights have been famous for, but for the story that it tells, some pretty good direction, and some pretty good cinematography. And yes, those really were some words you heard me say about a Naruto fight. So even though I know many of us were Naruto fans at one point, let me fill in the details you need to know. Naruto follows the story of one loudmouth blonde kid who one day dreams of being the president of the United States. Even though for his entire life everyone's been like, dude, are you fucking stupid? There's no way you can be president. He becomes rival and best friend with this kid who spends his spare time shopping at Hot Topic while listening to Linkin Park, who's also not happy with the country, so he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go join ISIS now. Even though Naruto's like, no, don't go join ISIS, they're evil and that's against my ninja way. Fast forward a few years and Naruto is in the running to be president, but Sasuke comes back from trying to blow up the White House and is like, actually, I'm gonna be president now so I can change the country. And Naruto's like, are you an actual idiot? You're a fucking international terrorist, you moron. And the twist this entire time is that Naruto was Donald Trump. No, that's not really true. But the whole point is that this fight is the story between two close friends fighting for what they truly believe in. It's no huge epic fight to save the world, but it's a clash of ideology between two people who refuse to give up. And everything about this fight is packed full of the story between these characters. The way that the fight starts off with a complete lack of any music helps to emphasize the subtle detail that was going on with every blow. From the run-up that shows the two of them through the ages, to the way that they use each other to finish off their hand signs, and even seeing Sasuke trying to stop Naruto from making his shadow clone hand sign, shows that the characters have a deep understanding of each other's fighting style. Because everyone knows by now that Naruto's problem-solving skills basically boil down to spamming shadow clones enough time until something happens. What's this? People are protesting because they're unhappy with the election results? Maybe making shadow clones will solve the problem. After all the flashy powers have been used up though, my favorite part is when the fight divulges into this brutal fist fight, which again happens without any music to just emphasize the brutality of these two dudes just beating the shit out of each other, culminating in this brilliant minute-and-a-half long shot of two exhausted and physically broken guys, completely unwavering in their spirit to carry on fighting for what they believe in. It's one of the best directed sequences in this whole franchise, and everything about this segment oozes with the character's emotion without saying a single word. And I could spend an entire video breaking down every subtle detail of this fight fight that tells us something different. But since we're running out of time for this segment, I'll just end it with one of the finest final clashes in anime, capping off over 10 years, 700 chapters, 500 episodes, and 2 series worth of emotion in a single blow. And with that, I think now would be a good opportunity to talk about the sponsor for this episode, Naruto Online, the game.
What's the game about?
It's a game about Naruto.
What?
That's online.
What?
That's also free to play.
Oh, what? That's well expensive.
Play through the original Naruto storyline and relive your favorite moments from the original anime, like beating up helpless children. Haha, take that, you dumb 10-year-old. Naruto running literally everywhere. And watching Sakura be a useless git.
Oh god, just do something already!
Meet other players online and even team up with them. Hey, you want a Naruto run with me? Oh yeah, sure. In all seriousness though, this is the only officially licensed Naruto game online, and it shows. It may just be a browser game that's free to play, but a lot of polish has been put into the look and feel to make it feel like you're part of the original anime. And the battle system was actually pretty fun, since you can see how well done the animations are. I had fun partially reliving parts of my childhood through this, because we all know Naruto was the anime that got me into anime, so it's definitely worth checking out if you have any interest in Naruto. If you do play this game though, promise me you won't have Sakura on your team. Don't do it. Don't do it! Now going back to fights. So from the outsider perspective, it may sometimes look like fighting boils down to two mindless plebs throwing punches at each other until one of them connects, because that's certainly what WorldStar has taught us for anything shot with a vertical camera. But we oftentimes forget one of the most important tools used in a fight. The brain. And smarter fights are not something completely unknown to anime. Joseph Joestar's fights were equally parts stupidly entertaining as they were smart. Darker Than Black had some interesting use of abilities. And Hunter x Hunter had a great power mechanic that emphasized strategy and knowledge over just being the hardest puncher. If you're looking for a battle of the mind though, what I want to talk about is Saber and Lance's first duel in Fate Zero. Now, the Fate franchise is full of strategic battles both before and during fights, and while this fight may not be the best spectacle that Fate has to offer, I think it does the best in showing us what goes through a fighter's mind in even the simplest of duels. Not to say it doesn't look pretty, because by god you football, just get me in bed already, but it does really well to portray that there are two clear battles going on in this scene. The physical battle where they are trading blows, and the mental battle where they are trying to suss out how to gain the upper hand before even attempting to land a hit. It properly brings you into the mind of a fighter, and while there is a lot of dialogue, everything they think about feels logical, and it's no overly complicated anime monologue for the simplest action like, alright, so here's the plan. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a left hook, he's going to dodge left, I'm going to dodge right, I'll kick him, he'll punch me, I'm going to try a roundhouse kick, he's going to back fist me, and then after that what I love is that it highlights how strategy doesn't have to be some Death Note style use of your power, but even the simplest of details can be the difference between winning and losing a duel. And a high level battle like this is based around what information you can gather about your opponent or lack thereof. If you look at martial artists or professional fighters like Conor McGregor, nobody steps into the ring without a game plan, and no punches are ever thrown randomly. Every move has a purpose, whether it be finding out information about your opponent or getting your opponent to move in the way you want them to. And in this battle we see both sides playing this game. Saber trying to figure out what Lance's spears can do, Lancer misdirecting Saber into thinking only one spear matters, removing the armor when it's shown as ineffective, being cautious of the length of the invisible sword, and in the end it's the simplest of feints that lures Saber into a trap, which she probably wouldn't have fallen for if not for all the subtle information Lancer had previously given her. It's great because while simple, the strategy is incredibly deep, and I love that we are left to draw this conclusion ourselves rather than some third-party character telling us, oh my god, look how skilled these people are! We don't need a third-party monologue telling us that these are two really high-level fighters, as they are essentially playing the fastest real-time game of Yu-Gi-Oh! In their minds, complete with magic and trap cards, and everyone watching it actually understanding what's going on. And it was wonderful to see how this fight played out in the fighters' minds, as much as it was to see what was happening on screen. This was a duel in the truest sense, and one of my favourite fights that involved more than just smacking another dude in the face really fucking hard.
A noble phantasm needn't be merely a single weapon. A trap.
Of course, I'd be remiss if I made a fight video and didn't mention the one iconic weapon imprinted on Japanese culture, the samurai sword. Yes, ask any commoner what they think Japan is famous for, and they'll probably answer something along the lines of weird TV, electronics, something tentacle porn, and of course, the samurai. So it should come as no surprise that there have been plenty of great sword fights in anime history, from the classic ones like Ninja Scroll and Rurouni Kenshin, to the new ones like Afro Samurai, and of course, the famous Samurai Champloo, sponsored by Herbal Essences. But if we're gonna talk about breathtaking sword fights, the only spot this was ever gonna go to is No Name versus Liu Lang's final showdown in Sword of the Stranger. So what happens if you take almost everything we talked about previously and put it into one fight? Well, this happens. The finale in Sword of the Stranger manages to showcase everything that can be great about an anime fight in a single scene, and it does it beautifully. It does this by taking cues from old samurai movies, from the classic slow build-up and standoff before a fight, to the flashy exchanges of blows and the brief pauses between sword clashes. Of course, the choreography is excellent and the animation is absolutely stunning, which is thanks to, oh hey look, it's that name I've never seen before, here, let me suck your dick a bit more. And the fantastic cinematography and music also helps to frame this as an epic duel. But what really elevates this fight above all others is how dynamic it feels. There is nothing about this duel that is static, and I've never seen another fight in anime that makes such fantastic use of the environment around them. Taking the basics of what we learned from the Cowboy Bebop train fight, the scene takes it up a notch as the environment they are fighting in is constantly changing, and not only that, but it becomes an active component of the fight. You can see how they try to use it to gain every little advantage they can, the way they corner each other on the ledge, brushing snow in their faces, and whenever they move around or change location, it isn't unintended, but it's done in service of trying to win the fight itself. The more you watch it, the more you realize that there is no movement that is unplanned or unnecessary. Sure, all the swordplay is flashy and everything, but there's a deeper sense of awareness for both fighters going on regarding their surroundings, and it manages to convey this higher level of strategy like what we talked about in Fate Zero without uttering a single word. All of these elements blend together, resulting in arguably the best anime fight in history. So just take my word for it and watch this fight. You don't even need to watch the rest of the film, even though there are some great fights in it throughout, but this is the one fight in anime that deserves to be watched and marveled at. And that was all I had time to cover today. I hardly even scratched the surface of what I could cover though, so who knows, I'll probably have to make another one of these in the future because there are so many anime fights I could talk about. Thanks to my good friend Nino for helping me research this video. He also did a good video breaking down what makes a good anime fight too, so if you want further information, I highly recommend you check out that video. Don't worry Jimmy, that's a free plug on me. And again, a huge thanks to Naruto Online for sponsoring this video and just letting me talk about anime fights, because I can do that all fucking day. If you do have any interest in Naruto at all, I do think you'll enjoy this game, so just give it a shot if you want. But now, I do look forward to reading all your insightful comments about everything I said.
Oh my god, I can't believe you didn't mention my favorite fight. You know, Trump versus Hillary versus Corey in the House versus Harambe, you casual pleb.